Mūsų karta pirmoji, supratusi, kaip iš lėto kenkiame gamtai. Ir vienintelė, žinanti, kad dar yra laiko ją išsaugoti. Apsaugokime mūsų visų ateitį. Ergo.
The laws of physics, the laws of life. Laws connect everything. We think that to be legal advisors, we must live under the same philosophy, adapting to connect and connecting to adapt.
Nepraleiskite laiko veltui. Nauji kino festivaliuose kritikus ir žiūrovus sužavėję filmai. Elito kinas. Ketvirtadienio vakarais per LRT+.
Kad būtum, reikia kito. Kino Pavasaris. Kovo 24, balandžio 3 dienomis visoje Lietuvoje. Didysis partneris Ergo draudimo grupė. Informaciniai partneriai LRT 15 min žmonės.
Tai sveiki, mėly Kino Pavasario žiūrovai. Neįtikėtinai smagu matyti, kad jūsų taip daug. Tai šiandien susirinkome padiskutuoti su SAULėlydžio, filmo SAULėlydis pagrindiniu aktoriumi Tim Roth. Ir noriu jūs labai pakviesti, diskusija prasidės nuo mano klausimų, bet labai tikrai noriu jūs visus pakviesti, pasinaudoti šią progą ir klausti, ir nebijoti, ir dalyvauti diskusijoje. So, hello. Hello, good afternoon. We're saying a big good evening with a lot of heart and a lot of love to you, Mr. Roth. Thank you.
Good evening to you. Good morning from where I am, yeah.
Thank you so much for being here with us and for giving us a chance to have this talk with you. It's an amazing film, Sundown, and I'm sure that we'll have a lot of questions to ask, so this is truly priceless to us.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to be with you.
So to get right to the business, I think it's important to mention that this is not the first collaboration that you had with Michelis Franco. The first being, if I'm not mistaken, the film Chronic, released in 2015, and there was another film, 600 Miles, that was produced by Michelis Franco.
Yeah.
And
we met because I was in the Cannes Film Festival. I was president of the Certain Regard jury, and so we saw one of the films that we saw, which was extraordinary and deeply disturbing, was a film he made called Después Lucía, After Lucia, which is I recommend it. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's very, very difficult. But anyway, we gave him the award there, and while I was, I always do that with festivals. If I'm at a festival, I treat it as an employment agency. So I asked him for a job, and he said, "Well, funny you should mention that." Told me what he was working on. It was Chronic. Yeah. So that was how we got started, and then, he was producing 600 Miles, and asked me if I would play in that, and I said, absolutely. So that's kind of how we first got together. Yeah.
And since this has already been a third time you have worked together, I was wondering if you could tell us a little what appeals to you when it comes to the cinema of Michelis Franco.
I think what it's precisely because it's cinema. It's not. He has a unique. Well, everyone does, but his view of the worlds that he dives into are very, very personal and very. They speak of his perception. That's what I like, and then you're asked to join the discussion in a way. And then the way that he shoots is very unusual and allows the actor an extraordinary amount of freedom, and doesn't require as so much film does. It doesn't require just constant dialogue, constant plot. He uses the camera as a character, and the character of the camera goes on a journey with you, if you like. So, and he's something that we've developed. He's very interested in what happens in silence. And I think with Sundown, although I haven't seen Sundown yet, I think we really went to, we took that to a new level, I think. That silence speaks so much to everyone, that the camera can serve as the voice, you know, in a sense. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but yeah. So I'm hoping that this one pushes that kind of way of making a film and character development. I'm hoping it pushes it to a next level. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about it. So you haven't seen the film yet?
No. No, I wanted to see it with an audience, and because of COVID and all of that stuff, it's been very, very difficult to do that. Because, you know, at the moment we're looking after my wife's parents who are, you know, very high risk. So we've just been very, very careful. But I always, you know, I don't watch my films generally, with the exception of Michel. I watch his. So I am excited, but I try not to watch it, you know, on a TV screen. I want to watch it with a group of strangers in an audience that's not my home. You know, I want to take that journey with them. So I'm fingers crossed I'll get that chance soon. If I was with you, I'd be watching it for the first time.
We would love that.
Yeah. Scary.
So you so you mentioned that normally you tend to not to watch the films where you're playing. Yeah. So why is that actually?
I kind of started doing that some years ago now, because once I've made the film, it's nothing to do with me. It's passing it on. You know, it's critics, it's audience, and sometimes when I've made a film and I thought, oh, this is interesting, and then when I see the result, I'm disappointed. So the journey that I go through when I'm actually making the film is quite often the best part of my experience. So best to leave it there, and then it's over to you guys to make of it what you will. So I started doing that, but Michel is so unique, and I love so much the experience of working with him that I've made a sort of an exception just for him, you know. But it's a happier way of doing things, not watching them after the fact, you know.
It's now that you say this, actually, because I'm wondering about my next question, because maybe a little bit complicated to respond, but because I find Sundown a rather complex film, and as you've been talking yourself about what you like about the work of Michelis Franco, that it's very rich and it's very authentic, and there's his own perspective, and that is very important to you. And I think that is very much also evident in the film Sundown, and therefore I actually wanted to ask you, for you as an actor, what is the film about?
Oh, well, you're not allowed to know that. That's it's about what you think it's about. So, and I do know, the one thing I do know, having talked about it with people who have seen it, that it quite often is a very different film from one person to the next. And that's actually, when you ask about, you know, why don't you generally watch your films, is because the film is yours now. It's over to you. It's something that we did for you. for the audience. So, but particularly with this, yes, I know what the film is about for my character at the time that we were making it, but your perception of it is much more interesting than mine. That's the idea. The idea is over to you guys. Whatever you think the film is about for you, however it affects you personally, is far more interesting than my little moment, which was in Mexico and making it. So much more interesting.
Well, I'm hoping that there will be some of us that will want to share how they understood the film after the discussion, and to share and to let us know how did you understand the film and how did you perceive it. But following that thread,
you guys can tell me what the film's about. I like that.
But following that thread, the thread of the main character, Neil, so you said that as a main character what the film is about, as in from the perspective of the main character. And I was wondering if you could define your character.
See, that's breaking the rule, right? You have to. And it's terrible, right? It's a terrible responsibility, but there it is. It's yours. Even when we were filming, we were very careful not to tell the other actors that we were, as we were interacting, what our particular motivation was at that moment. We were very. It kind of is a rule that Michel works by, and certainly I do, because I have a relationship with Michel beyond what the other actors had, because of my experiences with him. So we were very careful not to discuss that, not to talk about that, because Charlotte's motivation would be hers, Albie's, Sam's, they would all, Yazua, they would all have their own worlds that happen to interconnect at these particular times. But what we were bringing to those scenes was our personal and private motivation. So again, it's a difficult one, but that's kind of how it is when we work with Michel, and then we're not talking all the time because the camera is with us, going on this journey with us. So you get to experience it at the time that we do, I don't know if that answers your question, but...
It does kind of, but it also makes me realize that my next question will go in vain, because I wanted to ask you about the background of the main characters. So,
well, I can tell you this, that when we work together, like at the moment now, Michel and I are thinking about what we will do next. He has an idea, I have an idea, and we start of what a film, what kind of journey we would like to go on next. And when and that's very much at the beginnings now. He's doing a film before we would work together. So, but for example, when we did Chronic, I asked him what he was going to do. And he said, he was going through the sort of end of life experience with a relative, somebody he loved very, very much, very big part of his family. And he said, he was watching the nurse work. He was watching the hospice, the palliative care worker work with his relative. And he said, I want to make a film about that. What does that feel like? What is that experience? And so the discussion starts there, and then the why you would want to be that person. What led you to that journey? What led you to that job? Where do you come from? All of those things are very much discussed in great detail when we begin working. The same with Neil. Who is he? Where does he come from? Michel had certain ideas, I had certain ideas, and we played around with them. What would be a more interesting version of that? We collaborate very, very very much from the first conversation. And so with Neil, we outlined his background, his family's history, his relationship with the other members of the family, his decision-making, how that came about, and what he wanted his life to be. And all of that stuff was built very, very in great detail. And then you forget about it. When he says action, let it go. And it's just sitting in there with you, and you start to go on these journeys. We have a script, but we improvise around it, and we strip it back as we go, and it changes as we go. And actually, what we are aiming at individually, where we are aiming as actors and then as characters, can change during filming. And the script that we have gets put aside. And it's always interesting with Michel is when you shoot it, then you go back and look at the script and you go, what? What is that? Because it's evolved so much in the same way as characters do, in the same way as people do, from one conversation to the next. So we do go into it in immense detail. And, but again, like I say, that's for us to know and for you to take on board and then go on your own journey with. I don't know. It's not an evasion. It's just how we work. It's very unusual. He's a very unusual director. That's why I love him.
You have mentioned that the idea already, if I understood correctly, the idea already of Sundown was born throughout the shoot of Chronic. Is that?
I don't know if it was then. As soon as we come to the end of something, we're thinking, well, what would we do next? What would be the next journey? And in a way, I suppose that you could look at Chronic and see some kind of connection between the one film and the next, and the characters in a sense, and the character in a sense. There is, I suppose, a line, but that connection is Michel's connection. That's maybe how he, how the journey that he'd like to take me, Tim, on in a sense through his films, which is a bold choice. Although he did New Order in the middle, you know. But that's again a personal journey of his, you know.
When it comes to the script, though, you have mentioned several times that the script constantly changes, and from what I understand, that you also tend to improvise a lot with it, and you try to reduce as much as you can the dialogues, and
it depends on the situation. But yes, yeah.
So I was wondering, actually, like a script as a tool for an actor, how do you use it to construct your character, and how does it help you, or it doesn't help you, maybe, for instance, on the contrary?
Well, generally, when I read something, I don't read it with any expectation at all. I can remove myself from the equation and look at the story, look at the piece, and then afterwards when you put it down, you sit and you think, okay, what is my part in it? And it doesn't. I'm not talking about if it's the lead or if it's a small part, whatever. It's irrelevant. Would I enjoy that function? Would I enjoy the possibility of being that person within that frame? And then if I'm taken with it, then I start to then the script is the sort of foundation. It's the sort of dictionary, if you like, of what my character is, wherever I am in it. And so I generally start the process by talking to the director and going through it line by line, word by word, stripping out what we don't need. Because a lot of times people write a script to get the money to make the story. And so after that has been achieved, then you can start getting rid of the excess baggage and start talking about what the person is and how the person functions and how he functions within the overall story. So yeah, and with Michel, the exact same conversations take place with his stories. The exact same conversations take place, but they generally start with him without a script. So you're beginning with phone conversations, or if he's close by, we get together, or or if I'm traveling and he's traveling, we happen to coincide. We talk about, oh, what about if we did this? What about if and so on. So it's a constantly evolving chain of events that lead us to the location and him turning on the camera, and off we go. So script is super important. It's deeply important with any piece that you get involved in. But after a while, the job that we have is to take on that character and evolve at in your forward kind of trajectory. I don't know if I'm making any sense. It's the beginnings. Script is just the beginning, and then how best to tell the story, how best to do it, how best to get inside the director's mind and flow forward.
And when it comes to the script, but also of being on set in general, how does the presence of other characters alter your role, or it doesn't?
We would generally, if there was a scene where, whatever the scene is, okay, what's the scene? You take your pages, and you have them, and you're looking at them. Then you bring them to the set in the morning, and and then we put them aside. And then the conversation with Michel is, okay, what's the scene about? What is the scene about for you? What do you want to happen? What do you feel could happen? And that conversation, this is before we start work, starts to take place, and then all of the actors involved go, what about if we did this? And would that be a good image? And how's that? And then so you have a real sense of collaboration. And then as a result of those conversations, decisions are made. And then he said, okay, I would like some of this, bring that together. What you said, bring that together. And then he decides where the camera would serve that moment best. That's his private world. That's and we just carry on with our having those moments, and he finds them with his camera, the best way that he sees it could serve his story. So basically, God, I never thought about this, by the way. You're doing very well, because we don't analyze. He does, I think. He analyzes like crazy, but the actors don't when we're working with him. So yeah, we get together in the morning. We talk, and when we're bored with ourselves, which comes fairly quickly, and he's bored with us, we start to film. And then when the camera's involved, it changes again and again and again. It gets streamlined and shunted and moved around, and different decisions are made. And then we're finished.
And then we have a
but it's an ongoing. It evolves. The whole day just changes and changes and changes.
And could you elaborate a little bit on how to put this? How does Michel Franco help you to construct your character? And maybe, if I may, what kind of questions for you as an actor arise when you're trying to build a character, when you're trying to become one?
Well, I mean, like I say, I suppose it starts with really detailed analytical conversation almost before a script is issued. We decide in real close collaboration who this person is, and he does that with all of his actors. Who is this person? What is their life? Why are they here? And at the point when we see them, who are they? And at the point when we stop seeing them, who have they become? So all of that stuff is laid out even before the script is typed out and issued. And then when you get the first draft of that, it's like a foundation, but it starts to change immediately. So by the time we actually get to the filming process, the script will have gone through so many changes. But the process, the way what that does for me, I'll just talk about it, I guess, for me. It means that by the time my feet land on the ground, wherever we're supposed to film, the character is just there for me. I've got it. But it's not something I have to really. It's not something I have to think about. Oh wait, no, he wouldn't do it that way. It's so in that it becomes a natural process. He's the job of in Sundown was to remove the actor from the process, from filming, was to take away the sense for the audience, to take away the sense of performance. It's one of the hardest things to do, to strip the actor away, to strip the nakedness away. It should look like, and I don't know if it does, it should just look like me wandering through a landscape and there happens to be a camera there at times. It should become very difficult to distinguish the actor from the character. And that's something that me and Michelle talk about quite a lot. Stripping away the artifice and being very exposed and delivering that to the audience, and then going on a journey with that, whatever that emotion is. So in answer to your question, it's very, very detailed. Everything that we really build a character, we really focus on it, and then we throw it all away. But it's in there. It's just in there somewhere. You're going along with it. So it sounds crazy, right? But it's kind of how we work.
No, not at all. Thank you very much for such an...
Any sense? I don't know if I'm making any sense. This could be terrible.
Not at all. But we do have to open up for the questions from the public. So that's what I'll do now. If there's
the audience is my critics. It's basically, you've got a room full of critics there. Let me have it.
Hi, I wanted to say that I enjoyed watching the film very, very much. I found it really unexpected. I was unexpected when I saw it, but I wanted to ask about the actual filming process. As I understand, you were talking with Michelle about the idea and you were building the story together, but the actual filming process in Mexico, how long did it take? And I don't know, how did you feel about the whole filming part of the film? Thank you very much.
No worries. We were there, I think we were there for a couple of months. I'd worked in Mexico before, and I knew it well. I'd been there with Michelle. When we did 600 miles, that was my first time there, in Mexico proper, not in vacation. Mexico is a very different thing. But so we arrived in Acapulco. That was the starting point, which is extraordinary. I mean, you see it in the film. It knocks you sideways. And also, we were filming on the beaches, and they were jammed, and we were just down there with our cameras, and the locals thought we were crazy. And then they got bored with us pretty quickly, and we just were there every day. But yes, we spent a lot of time at the beginning just walking around and getting to know each other a bit with the other actors. And we started the filming process at the very wealthy side of Acapulco at this hotel, crazy hotel, with private swimming pools in every room and all that kind of privilege. We started work with that, and then we moved down the hill to the working class resort, to the real Acapulco. But Michel immersed us in that whole environment for, I think we had a good 2 weeks solid of being there, getting used to each other, and getting used to the place. So the place that we were filming in is the, I don't know, again, that's because I haven't seen the film, but is the major character in the film. And it is a place that Michel used to go when he was a kid for holiday, to that beach. And he would be down there jumping in the water and into the sewage when he was, because it's right there. Yeah, he honestly, it's interesting. So yeah, we spent a lot of time working there, and then the camera would be where he wanted it. So quite often we would do a scene and we wouldn't even know where the camera was, and suddenly you'd look around and he was perched up on a ladder, 6 feet into the water, and doing stuff, and we'd be like, oh, there he is, and we would just carry on doing our scenes, whatever they may be, and then the end of the day would come. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how it is. It's not like filming in any other way that any other experience. It's utterly extraordinary.
I really liked your film, really enjoyed it, and I have one question about your character. Do you think he acted the right way, and would you be behaving the same way as he did? Did you like your character?
Oh, that's tricky. That's difficult. Okay. Do I like the character? Elements of him, I think I do. In the situation that he finds himself in, would I behave that way? No. I don't think I would. I think under such circumstances, I would run to my family. I would embrace them and I would want them with me. But he chose a different road. What was the other part? It was really good. Do I like my character? Do I like my character? That's the other part, right? What did you have?
Sorry?
What was the other part?
Did you like the character?
Do I like him?
Yes.
Do I like him? I don't know. I really don't know. Actually, it's kind of an unusual question. Do I like him? I like him. Yes. I think I like him. I like elements of him. I don't understand him, but I think it's complicated at that point in your life. I think it would be complicated in that point. We don't understand anyone. Everyone is full of complexity. I suppose I would say I like elements of him. I think it's an unusual and bold choice that he's made, but the repercussions, and that now again, I don't know the film yet, but the repercussions of his actions, or inaction, I suppose, the consequences are, I think, heartbreaking. So do I like him? Probably not so much. I like it. Maybe I like him at the beginning and not so much at the end. I don't know, but I haven't seen it yet. So I reserve comment.
Hello.
Hi.
I would like to ask question. You're like actor, like professional actor. You mentioned now that you was collaborating with director so much, like developing character, even screenplaying was changing a bit during shooting. And how do you find yourself? It's more harder when you need to develop something or change during shooting, or it's more easier for you, like you have kind of screenplay and you're shooting in this way. How do you find working with different directors?
Oh, well, yeah. Working with Michel, working in the way that he does, you know, your script is like the blueprint, and then you can run and play and evolve and change. And he has. It's a very freeing, very liberating experience. Fascinating too. It's really great fun, just from the actor's perspective. Difficult, crazy, frustrating, but a lot of fun at the same time. So it's a fully fledged experience. I love it. But some directors are very rigid. Oh no, you have to do everything, every line, hit the mark here, move over here when you say this, you know, and so on. That can be very difficult. That can be very, very hard, that you feel that you have no freedom. But certainly I've noticed when I have been in that experience, for example, I've been experiencing that, sometimes it's worth it to just go, okay, you know, shut up, hit your marks, say your lines, move to the next place. And then you step back and go, actually, I really enjoyed that. You know, that it can happen. It does happen. Other times, you know, you've got a script, you think it's going to be the best experience you've ever had in your life, and it is awful on every level. And then you can get a good film out of it, right? So I think I have had so many different experiences across my life as an actor. I've worked with Mike Leigh, for example, who there is no script. It's an improvised experience that goes over a very long period. I've worked with Robert Altman, where the whole thing was improvised. Peter Greenaway, where it's very rigid, but what a journey to go on, you know. So every director brings a different world to the table, a different notion of how to achieve the film that they're trying to make. And I used to be more, when I was younger, I would be more rigid. I would argue, you know, the point. I think what I've learned over the years is, there's a limit to how much argument you can have. You just really have to roll with it and see where it takes you. So I think that's the age thing. That's the experience thing. Every film I've made, every time I've done this, has been different. Every single time. And I think the thing to remember is just to be open about it, completely open, and not and be vulnerable. That's my key. Sorry, I'm just waving to my son who's off to work. So that's it. I don't know if that answers your question. Every time it's different, and every time, even if it's horrible, it can be really enjoyable. So there you go.
Unfortunately, I think we'll have to end here. We only
do more. Do a bit more. Yeah,
I really wish I could.
That's because I talk too much. Yeah, do some more.
Huge fan here. Hi. I have one question, actually. You had so many roles played in your life. Which one is your favorite?
Oh, that's always tricky. That's a difficult one. Well, I mean, there's a couple of things I could say. When I first started, I did a film called Made in Britain for television. I played a Nazi skinhead. And it was my first experience, and I did it with this extraordinary director, Alan Clark. And he showed me what was possible. I had no idea about what cameras were, what lights were, what everything, you know. So I would always go back to that. I would go back to the first experience. And that was my English world. That was the beginning of that. And then 10 years or so down the line, I worked with Quentin on Reservoir Dogs. And that changed my life completely, absolutely changed my life. So those two people, Alan Clark and Quentin, I would say, were like the marshals. They were the ones that pushed my life into an unbelievable direction. I mean, my only other job that I'm qualified for is working in a supermarket. I can fill shelves really well. That's all I've got. So Alan Clark and Quentin changed my life. And then I think I would, and it sounds silly, but I'll say it anyway. I think Michelle is a big part of it now, because just when you think, okay, I've got this, somebody comes along and says, yeah, you think you have? And then flips it on its head. And it becomes fascinating and new and interesting all over again. So I think I would count, I would throw Michelle in there as well. But I could only say that the beginning, the middle, and now the beginning of the end, I suppose, are the three most fascinating times. Yeah. Do another one.
I think we could go all night long here, actually.
Hi.
Hiya.
I'm so starstruck now, but okay, I will try to come down. I'm wondering how deep you let your character live inside you, especially in the films where you have this freedom of improvisation, because then it really gets into you. I'm an actress myself, that's why it's a little bit maybe technical question.
Right. I wouldn't say it's a tricky one. No, I don't do the method actor thing. I don't do, you know, we call them Methodists. I don't do that. I don't once I'm finished for the day, my character is just see ya, and then I'll pick him up tomorrow. So I try and separate, but it's the character is always just lurking on your shoulder. He's always just sitting there, you know, and then, yeah, I don't live in character. I manage to separate the two things. But some of the characters that you play affect you more deeply than others. Certainly the ones that I played with Michelle, I always think, I always keep them with me. I'm very fond of them. Some of the characters I played, I cannot wait to get rid of, and I work very hard never to think of them again, because they're such horrible people. But generally, no. As an actor, I managed to separate the character from me, and they only join together during the day, and then during filming, and then I can get rid of them at the end. And I think that's important just for your mental health, you know.
And I will answer your question, what the film was about for me.
Oh, good.
So it was about, for me, it was about the sun that was setting down. Actually, I loved the title because I think the theme for me was in the title, and then the film just went around. Yeah.
Do you know that the original title for the film was, when we were working on it, was Driftwood? You know, like a piece of a tree that's in the water and it's just drifting and goes wherever it ends up. It has no control over itself, and it was Driftwood. So that was the original title of the film. So you have two now. Choose which one.
The original, not the original, the one that we have out now, Sundown.
Good. Oh, I'll tell Michelle. He'll be very happy.
So thank you very much once again for tuning in today, for joining us, for
my pleasure.
Being part of this discussion. I think we have all really, really enjoyed it. I cannot say thank you enough, and we hope to see you one day in Vilnius.
I would love it. I would love it. Yay! Take care of yourselves.
Have a nice day and thank you once again.
Okay. Bye now.
Bye.
Kad būtum, reikia kito. Kino Pavasaris. Kovo 24, balandžio 3 dienomis visoje Lietuvoje. Didysis partneris Ergo draudimo grupė. Informaciniai partneriai LRT 15 min žmonės. Lietuvoje.